Hello again, this is Cole Patterson back with another follow-up in our intermediate tutorials to Illustrator. Today we will be learning about the Free Transform tool, which has the shortcut of E and is located here on the toolbar. Now the Free Transform tool has a number of uses, but we will be learning primarily about the distortion. Now we will be covering everything, the first of which is just Free Transform. It has a scale change, which can be done the same way that any other aspect of Free Transform can be done, the same as if you were to go to transform by right-clicking. You can rotate, move, and otherwise shear an item to your liking. It's fairly simple, fairly straightforward. It is the normal controls for transforming. Now, what's more interesting is our perspective distort and our free distort. Now, perspective distort allows us to change the perspective of an object. Now, this falls into a 1-point and 2-point perspective and the way that those work. So I'm going to be putting a little faith in to assume that you have already learned about at least 1-point perspective. And we will say, just for sake of argument, that we will be working with a vanishing point of about right here. We'll make a nice little guideline, and we will go back to our tool by hitting E and selecting the perspective. Now let's say that we have a vanishing point at about the 4-inch mark. We will be mostly eyeballing, but with something that you want to really get just so we could really tighten up to our liking. Let's say we wanted this to be going outward. We could just simply go in, make it taller or shorter as needed. Now, let's say you want something that's sitting atop this line. And before we keep going, I will also say, similarly, you can do this on either axis. You can even play around with it and do both, one at a time, of course. And it has a pretty powerful effect to it. Very useful, very precise. It's nice that it only affects one side at a time. Makes for very precise work with little troubleshooting. But let's say we wanted to have an object that sat flat upon the vanishing point and rose up from there. What we would want to do is actually go to our free distort, and we would just move one corner up like so while maintaining the rest, and then we could go in and lower it. And it is worth noting that if you were to hold the shift button, then the shift button allows you to move up and down an axis or side to side on an axis freely while not breaking from the original line. You can see that I'm moving rather freely here, but then if I hold down shift, it either adheres to this line or this line without straying from it. Now, let's go ahead and take this, put it right here, go back to our perspective tool, and move this up like so. And let's say that, for argument's sake, this is a billboard of sorts. We'll go ahead and get rid of this guide, just for convenience sake. Now let's say we needed to pin this text onto here in a way that makes it feel like it's wrapped a bit. While having that text selected, we will select our Free Transform tool, and we will go to Free Distort. Oh, I forgot a step. Create your outlines first. From there, we would go in and leave a little bit of breathing room and try your best to make sure that that breathing room is more or less consistent from top to bottom, corner to corner. And we will just go in. My bad. Take these and push them in. And with this, a weird little something is you actually do need to account for, at least in precision work, account for the fact that these lines will get closer together the closer they get to the vanishing point by nature of how perspective works. So down here, we'll actually bring these down a little bit. That one maybe not so much. And I would say that that already does not look so bad. And then from there, if we wanted to do some finer detailing work, we could just go in with our regular select tool, push it in just a hair, and suddenly that text is perfectly adhered to a billboard. Again, apologies for my voice. Now, it's a fairly simple tool, fairly straightforward, but it does work with paths, shapes, text, anything that you put your mind to it, no matter how complex or simple. So long as you have adhered it to a shape, expanded it out, it will bend to your will. It is amazing for working with perspective. It is amazing for wrapping things to fairly complex objects. It really aids to a design in making it feel less like something is just placed upon it and more that all the items layered on top of each other are one coherent unit. Now, I hope that you've learned something with this. In the next lesson, we will be going over the Pathfinder tool and the Blend tool. Until then.